What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Golf Bag podcast / live stream. And we have a special guest tonight, Axis DFS. You probably know him at some point or another as Fantasy Jesus. I think it was just Fantasy Jesus. But yeah, we got a special guest, Axis. And I know a lot of the guys in the Fantasy Golf Bag Discord. We're excited to have him on. And we got a couple questions lined up for him. And we'll probably talk through, obviously, the Genesis and probably some overall thoughts on betting and methodology and where he's been. We'll start there. So Axis, thanks so much for coming on, man. How's everything going?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a while. I basically took a year off. I was still betting. I basically just took a year off from doing any appearances, tweeting much, just straightening everything out. Just needed a break. Been doing this a long time, but it's good to be back. Good to be talking with you, especially.
Yeah. So I hear you're back full time. So no other occupation, just going.
Very little.
So betting wise, it's primarily golf. Do you do other sports? Then we can talk about the niche golf stuff that you have been hammering.
It's almost all other sports now. I still bet golf, but it's not. So much has changed since the last time I did it full time. Like just markets, accounts. Getting close, like there's just a lot more that I worry about now. So I'm actually prefer like the larger market stuff, smaller edges, smaller returns, but just hopefully more of it and easier to keep things alive and going. So, but golf's still like my little baby, I guess. Of bet, like that's the one I model the most and use on my I chase steam on some stuff. Like I'm not going to pretend that I am creating models for the NBA and all this other stuff. It's a lot of different betting aspects. Like I'm not a wizard in that sense. But golf's probably the one I'm still most involved in. Just almost out of just hobby, fun, puzzle.
Yeah. Well, NBA is a job and a half anyways. So just to focus on that with
it's the worst.
You could probably build models on totals and spreads, but then like last minute rotation splits. Like there's a lot of time that would go into baking in like some type of automated process besides you being at your computer all night. It's the same with DFS. For an NBA DFS kind of sucks. So yeah, I can see the advantage there. And now for golf, you mentioned LPGA is kind of an untapped market. So you've been focusing a lot. Actually, this has been a couple years because I think we talked like 2 years ago when they first started posting some media packets with some strokes gained, which wasn't exactly accurate. There was some like +9 strokes gained putting a few times. Or the one Irish girl gained 8 strokes on approach in one round. Like
it reminded me of when DP World Tour first started doing their strokes gained, but they were doing it all through the caddies. Like if you were doing anything short term, you were probably in for a world of hurt from time to time, trusting those numbers. But yeah, they have strokes gained stats now. LPGA is still probably my favorite tour to follow. I don't know. I just enjoy it more. Although the PGA Tour schedule has changed now with the signature events. It used to be just nice because the LPGA, because the money was a lot less, the best golfers play a lot. And they were in almost every tournament. So that was kind of neat. Whereas the PGA, a lot of guys would take these big breaks. They wouldn't play some of these smaller events. I guess there's a little less. They still don't play the smaller events. And I mean, even Nelly, she just skipped the Asian swing. So like some of them still skip too. But I don't know. I've always enjoyed it more. And yeah, maybe it was because I was doing all right betting on it too. That always makes you feel better, right? So
yeah. Is that just outrights and chasing live? We'll get to a few of these things. Or was it matchups?
A lot of outrights, matchups, live betting. Pretty much anything that's not like. I mean, LPGA doesn't get like the same mark. Obviously, I'm not betting hole to hole anyway. That's something I don't do anymore. But it's primarily outrights and matchups for LPGA.
Okay. We got a couple questions which we'll get to, but you sparked my interest as you talked through accounts for betting. Have you dabbled or seeked out any of the prediction markets and found any advantage to using those or any need to use those yet? They're kind of limited. Like they have mostly it's outrights. I think in the US we only have Kalshi or whatever you call it. I I don't think they do matchups. They do like first round leader and outright. So I don't know. Like there's prop markets and stuff like that. So I don't know if any of those have been an interest of you or if it's always been kind of more macro level,
No, I'm not on any of that. I'm a one-man show. I have trust issues when it comes to my money and betting and everything. So everything I do is on my own between placing the bets, all that fun stuff. So I haven't even bothered to look into other things yet. I could be leaving money on the table, but I also want to have a little bit of a life and not literally be in front of my computers all day, all night. So if things change, I may have to go that route as far as accounts go and tax laws and all that fun stuff that keeps changing year after year. But for now, haven't got into those markets yet. Although Sky will text me and we've chatted about them, but haven't dove in yet.
Yeah, they had. I was watching it. It seems to me, and this is kind of somewhat anecdotally, it's just off of one example, but like this weekend with Morikawa in the final round. So you can watch, like we'll look at the live model and our outright model in just a second, but like the odds, it seems like on those markets moves faster and not always in a good way. So for example, Morikawa, I think I got him around 45-1, or not 45-1. What am I talking about? 45%. So 45 cents, right? He made a birdie. I think it was something he hit in the fairway. He was likely going to make a birdie. Got him at 45 cents. It jumps to like 95 cents. So I sold. The next hole, he misses the green on 17. So it must have been 15 or 16. He's back down to 40 cents. So you could jump right back in at 40 cents. Like the zigzagging was a little bit crazy. So we'll have to watch that for the rest of the season. But yeah, it was
I
nice
get it.
Little late guaranteed to feel like. So
I get it. I just honestly, because I bet so much, like I don't even always watch anymore. Like sometimes, like when it's happening, like the bets are in, it's like, all right, this is my break, and I don't even tune in. So like, and which is odd because I do think live betting, there are a lot of edges. I also think that can get my accounts shut down or noticed very quickly. So it's like this balancing act of like, yeah, I could make, but how much am I going to lose long term if things go too good, or like it's mental gymnastics for me. But well, I definitely get it.
When you're saying live betting, it's between rounds, not necessarily live.
No, I'm talking what you were too, though. Like even the whole, like just like you were saying, like I can't do that. Like I don't even have the attention span probably to do that. Like I know when I was at FGB, I used to do some like live chat betting stuff. That was a little different back then, but like it was a lot though. Still, like just having to follow it and making sure, like, because you're watching too, and it's like, why am I even watching? The sports book's ahead of it. And again, I don't know anything about those markets. Like you were saying, those fluctuations are crazy. But so there's probably something there, obviously. Like that's where you want to look if you have the time.
Well, then I know people have done props forever, and like they've gotten better. Like this actually, they could have got wrecked. They overcompensated, I guess, on Sunday with the weather. They bumped everybody's stroke props like 2 strokes. So like at Pebble, it was like 68.5 or 69.5, depending on who you were. And I'm pretty sure someone sent me a screenshot. It was like 71.5 for like a couple of the guys. Pretty big difference. But there was a lot of unknowns anyway, so I'm not even sure I would have bet that. The guys that were sending it to me were like, I'm hammering the over. This weather looks crazy. They're going to have 40-mile-per-hour gusts. Well, they're not going to play, first off, if that's going to be the case. But then it was so soft and the weather didn't come till late. He got wrecked. So they're like sharp in a way, but almost overcompensating. And it's hard to know which side they're falling on every single week. So there's definitely opportunities. Definitely. All right. I got, we'll talk about a few questions. These probably dovetail into some other topics. We'll do that one last. Let's do this one I brought up, the softest market. So obviously talking through outrights is pretty static. It's been around forever. They're now introducing hole by hole props or lowest score on a par 3, whatever. They have all these groupings now, nationality props. Sometimes some of these sportsbooks just have random groups. It's like tiers on DraftKings. It's just like a random group of 9 guys, and Scotty's in there minus 700, and all these other guys are in there. But in your opinion, and maybe it's ones that you would be interested in, or you just go after anyways, or maybe they're out there and you just don't have the time to attack. But what's your opinion on kind of the soft golf markets? And I'll add my little twist on that. What about timing of getting outrights in early on a week? Let's say they post on, Monday or Sunday night, and not waiting until Tuesday or Wednesday when people have read Twitter all week and like, now I'm going to bet this guy who's down 20 points off of where he was off this guy's tweet. So what's your take on soft markets, I guess, and then timing of outrights?
I'm going to start with timing just because you brought up last there. My brain went to it. I try to bet early, like Monday before noon. Otherwise, sometimes I just don't bet because I already don't think there's like wild edges in outright markets, at least for me. Other people smarter, whatever. What I'm doing, I need to get in before things move. Try to pick off whatever lines I think are soft because when other sites release their data, things move. Like whether you agree with them or not. So I guess if you disagree with them, it could be to your advantage. But books aren't always dropping guys wildly either. Like they normally just cut them. They're not going to compensate and be like, oh, everyone's betting Rory, we're going to drop Scotty to get. No, they're going to leave him at 3-1 still and just cut Rory or whoever's getting pounded. And then when other books release their numbers, things move again based off that. So for me, I try to bet on Monday. I obviously, if you're just betting for fun, I don't know if it matters. Obviously, it matters. The best number is the best number. But, it's hard for me to sit here and preach to someone like, oh, you must get in on Monday. If you got shit to do, then do it. But if I'm truly looking for the best number, I'm betting Monday, preferably before noon.
Yeah.
So I do a lot. I'll do some legwork on Sunday night just to get ready for it. So that way when I wake up, I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. to bet it, and a lot of books don't even have stuff up yet. That's another thing. Sometimes I have to wait. Or I'll just fire early and be like, I like this number. Someone else might open bigger, but I'm good with this number. I don't want to miss it because that happens too. It's like, I know this particular book sometimes is better numbers, but if they don't post,
they might just copy.
And if they don't post it, I wait, and then the other number gets cut, and it's like, you're dumb. Again, I'm also just trying to move on with my day to other stuff. So for golf's my first thing Monday morning before a bunch of other sharper places release data and start to skew stuff. But yeah, that's what I would be doing. And then as far as soft markets, I don't bet many other markets. So what I would suggest, the smaller the niche, generally the better. If you can find a book that offers a market no one else does, perhaps you attack that or try to find an edge in that. I don't know every book that does this, but you can go on FanDuel and just type in go to groups or 3 balls or top nationality, click on a guy, and you can type in just $1 million in the wager, and it'll tell you the max on it. So the max they will allow, FanDuel will actually show you. So you could go through there and find their smallest limit market and be like, oh, they're only taking 500 on this or 200. So the less confident they are to take big bets, and again, it varies account to account with FanDuel, but that'd be a place to start, right? And then because if they're willing to take $10,000 on one market but only 500 on another, that tells you their confidence level.
Interesting.
And I'm not telling you FanDuel's the sharpest book in the world, but it's a place to start, right? And that's what I would do if you're really just trying to find something new to attack. Again, if you do very well on that, it could get your account limited, so I will mention that as well. But if you're betting $10, $20, $30, $40, you're probably safe. But that's where I'd start, in general, just if you're really trying to find something that is new in golf, that's what I would do. Or just like I said, find a site that no one else offers this market. Okay, so it's only on this book to get it right. Of course, they normally will put a ton of juice on that, but That's where I would start if you're into looking for the softest markets to bet in golf.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't track it anymore. I used to, like efficiencies, but like I just don't bet that many markets, and so I stopped. That was just a time sink for me. So
yeah, it's almost like a turn. Oh, I guess it depends on what anyone's bankroll is, but you see something that's, I guess, taking $100 max or something like that. And it's like, I'm just going to skip it and move on. And it takes some time to go through each of those, whatever groups or matchups or whatever, and look for that. The tours is probably tough, but it's also tough on you to then get up and running some type of model that's going to accurately reflect whatever edge you think you have. So there's a give and a take for sure. But I do think, yeah, I do that from a DFS perspective, which I like a lot. Is we had that, I won't even get into it again, but the run during COVID when all these niche sports came up,
right,
and no one knew anything about them, and it was kind of just like the Wild Wild West. Same with, it wasn't quite the same, but I guess same with the Outlaw Tour, where all of a sudden you have a lot of guys, and I mean, there's still a percentage of guys that are super sharp, and they can dive into any market and dig up something where they have a distinct edge. But yeah, when nobody knows about it, or these like small niche markets are really good to get on, but they're not the sexiest. And it's like you hear everybody hit whatever outright at whatever number, and you're just over here just kind of whittling away little edges. But yeah, from a betting perspective, or from like I wouldn't call it a professional standpoint, but those are definitely worth considering and trying to find.
I mean, my best edge ever back in the day was top 40s when a few books started posting those. That got shut down, unfortunately, relatively quickly. But like that's what you're looking for, though. Like, and again, if you're not betting like big to draw attention, then it probably won't matter anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're looking for soft, I would suggest just perusing all the sites that you belong to, and just seeking out things you haven't seen before, and then go from there. Like, that doesn't mean blindly bet it. It doesn't mean you're going to win if it's softer. You'll still have to find some sort of edge or reason to take advantage of it. But that's where I would start if I was going to get into that again.
So I brought this up. I thought it was interesting. We've been doing line movement. It used to just be line movement start to finish, and now we have it for most of the flow. It captures it every so often. And obviously we got like one day. So yeah, 16th to the 17th. But you'll see stuff lag, and we saw, who was it? There's some guy on Wednesday night, and all of his lines moved, I don't know, 30%. So it went from 1,300 down to 1,000, plus 1,000. DraftKings was still at like plus 1,250. And the next morning they moved to plus 1050. Like there's ways you can also capture that. Not trying to plug this tool per se, but it is interesting to watch how the books react kind of together. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring up here. Like Aldrich, no opinion on this show is for Aldrich Pot Guider. But you could see pretty clearly, like all these guys opened, at a higher number, and they all drifted down pretty quickly. And then there's a few books, I think it's Bet365 and Bovada kind of lagged. They finally caught up, or at least, Bovada and Bet365 caught up. We still have BetMGM hanging out here just a little bit higher, but
that's because they only take $3 on their bets. But
there you go.
They don't need to move it.
But you can see like all these guys, like even the opening numbers vary quite a lot. So to your point of like trying to find the best number or waiting for it, it's tough to know exactly where they're going to open. I guess you could track it and know on certain players they tend to open higher. That's probably a fact. I'm sure they have certain biases towards certain players, just like any model would. But it is interesting to watch how the lines move both directions. Like we saw last week, Brian Campbell went the other way, and this week no one wants to touch him. So pretty much flat, I guess. He did open short for Caesars and then went the other direction. Ben Griffin, Daniel Berger, etc. So interesting to watch.
Yeah.
I got another question for you. Let's talk about staking and on outright bets, or really any bet, but this was specifically a question from one of the Fantasy Golf Bag Pro members asking about what's your take on staking for outright bets? Is it to win a certain amount? Is it a certain staking criteria? And I know you helped me a lot when I first got started, and using Kelly, which is kind of a headache to get started with anyways. It's like very overwhelming. And first you got to quantify your edge, which is probably the toughest part. After that, it's just math. But like having a realistic expectation is a tough hurdle to get over without back testing or doing whatever you want to do to make sure it's real. Otherwise, you'll be betting, I don't know, 200x, what you probably should. But what's your take? I have my take on it too, but what's your take on figuring out your bet size, I guess, without getting too technical?
If you don't have an edge, then I would flat bet. Like, and by that I mean like I'd have an amount that you want to win, and I would just flat bet that on outright. Say it's $500. I would not do like I have this amount for the week, because then you're just gonna bet golfers for the sake of like structure of, well, I need them all to be 8-1, 7, whatever the hell your number is. Like if you only like one golfer, then bet one golfer. If you like 10, bet 10, I guess, that week. But I would flat bet them if you don't have an edge. I definitely wouldn't mess around with like, gut feeling. Like if you're truly looking to just bet it, have fun, I would come up with a nice number that you're comfortable, like where that's going to leave you betting as well. And just do it that way. Even for matchups, I'd still just be betting flat, like to win X.
Okay.
Again, because if you're getting into the weeds on like your gut feeling of like, oh, I just love this one, so I'm going to bet 5X, like you're going to end up likely in a hole. I mean, you're going to likely end up in a hole anyway, let's be honest. But
yes.
I'm just being honest, like and not even necessarily a hole, but like if you do find something and you're flat betting, that's the best way to go, in my opinion, if you don't know how to determine an edge and then base your sizing off that, because most people don't have a bankroll either. So again, and I say
a bankroll as in like a definitive bankroll.
Yeah. Obviously, most people, I would imagine, don't say like I have. If this ever ran out, I'm done betting. No.
Right.
You have
you get a payroll or you get a salary and you
get your
redeposit
check, and you're like, all right, it's just like, I don't know, I can bet $500 a week or something, like whatever the number is, $50 a week. Or that may even change. So again, that all also would skew how you're betting. So I think flat is for most people. Hell, even I flat bet some stuff where I'm like, I don't necessarily trust my edge or know my edge, so I'm just gonna bet this. Like some of my models I'll say are, because I'm not a math wizard per se, but like mine are just more directional. So like in a sense of like, I don't know if I truly trust the edge number that I have compared to the book. So I have almost essentially like 2 or 3 levels of flat betting. It's like, all right, this, and this. And if it falls into one of those windows, I'll bet X, Y, or Z. It's a little scaled up from flat betting, but I'll do that when my model has shown like the larger the gap, the more I have won and profited, but I still know that number is not my true, like, again, it's more of a directional model telling me, I think this is off, but I'm not smart enough to fully get that number, so I'm not going to be like Kellying all this stuff. So
right, you're just you're basically, instead of you having a number that derives what your wager is for any bet, it's the book is basically dictating what you wager to win a certain amount. I mean, it's basically scaling it for a Scotty wager, just call it even odds, versus a long shot at 100-1. You're obviously going to be betting less, and it's going to scale down, versus you having a number like this is a 7% edge, Scotty's only a 3% edge, and now it's like just slightly off, right? It just simplifies it if you're a casual bettor to say, I just want to win $50 and I'm going to bet this. It also helps, I'll add, for the guys that have a card with 10 guys on it, when you get to like your 7th guy and you're like, well, I'm doing all these to win 50. So I'm already at $40. I'm not going to win any money. Like,
also
it's a good way for you to also sanity check yourself and not just kind of literally be gambling away.
for golf anyway, like I come up with a number, but I am a realist and I'm conservative, so it's like, all right, I don't think I'm the sharpest guy in the world, so like I have a number. Do I really think that's the actual number? No. So if I don't, for certain markets, particularly outrights, like I don't really, it's like I'm not going to bet it as if that edge is true. So I scale it back to those levels, and that way it's because when you're wrong and you're betting Kelly stuff and your numbers way off, you're going to lose a ton of money. Like,
Yeah.
so that's why flat betting can be almost a safety factor. In that sense,
it's easier to do.
Like if you decided to go all in on sand save percentage, which would be stupid. So if you did that and you want to bet some guy that normally you'd bet 30 on and you want to bet 300, like that would save you a lot of money because you did something like say you fat fingered it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
can I add some context to that though? Because I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because we've talked about this before. And you don't have to give the specifics, but like basically you're giving yourself a range of being wrong, and we'll call it 2% or 3%. And outside of that is like actionable. And, there could be guys, and maybe Rufus does this. It's like 1.2%. I'm going to bet it. I'm really like, he knows his stuff. We'll just call it that. 1.2 is actionable for us. And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but let's just say like 3% is enough to be wrong and still be right, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you're not talking 16%. Like these guys are like, he's 150 to 1 and he's and you think he should be, the 20th guy in the field. Like, no, we're not talking about being wrong that much. We're talking about literally in matchups is probably the easiest one. It's tougher for outrights. But like, 3 to 5% is a lot. And to give you a window and not be like, 1.5% edge, if you could be off 2%. And now you're betting into a negative edge.
Yeah, I have a percent window, so I track all my bets, what I thought the edge was. So like I have an idea of like, again, that sometimes just shows the direction. Like obviously the edge here was not 10%. The book was not 10% off, even though I thought it was. But like I know that when I get those, they've historically won more than they've lost. So like I'm not going to bet it as a 10% edge. But for certain things, like again, I'm not the smartest person in the world, so I think it'd be naive for me to think that everything I'm doing is perfectly correct and no one else. Like, there's a reason a lot of people regress to the market or things like that to even do that. There's tons of other fail safes. Like you could bet quarter Kelly, that takes a chunk out of the actual wager should be. Like I said, I'm pretty conservative with what I am willing to fire, but they're my models. I've worked with them. I know what could be wrong or off, or whether I want to fix it for 1 week or I'm not smart enough to maybe fix some of it. Like you got to know what you're working with. Like I've been staring at the same stuff for years now, so I have an idea of like I may not compensate enough for changes in driving distance, let's say, or approach, or maybe I know that sometimes I'm not as quick to correct on form. But I know that now, so sometimes I'll even see a number and then I'll look through some stuff and be like, oh, well, this could be me not wanting to overreact, but we've noticed that when this guy figures it out, he seems to figure it out for 4 straight weeks at a time. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to pretend that I'm not blindly just like hitting sim and then it auto goes and bets. That's not me. Although that'd be nice sometimes.
I feel like you could do that. I'm more lenient towards that for matchups, and for a couple reasons. One is the wider array, I guess, of matchups you can get on any given round for a tournament, assuming the edge is real. At worst, you would assume you could probably break even if it's somewhat bad. Outright's definitely we've seen, we can pull up our outright model for this week. And a lot of times, dude, I see value. I guess it depends on the week. Like these signature events is tougher, especially the guys at the bottom of the board just don't really have a chance to win. And it's really weighted towards the top. But in those weaker fields, like there's guys that have huge value at like 250 to 1. And I don't really want to bet that unless I really had a strong feeling. And other stuff, or maybe you tailed it or something, and I just want to tail your bets on that week. But yeah, I did pull up these matchups just to like illustrate the edge. So this is from our matchup sims. We don't have the PGA. The tee times just came out, so they'll have matchups here soon. And I don't want to go, brown nosing you for the magical Kenyan Open, which is probably your favorite event on the DP World Tour.
And they're back where they started this year too.
So like these are the types of edges. Assuming the fantasy golf bag model is decent, just reasonable. There's no huge, 20% edges that you can find. Like in this here, like there's basically two matchups that are questionable to bet, and even those aren't even that strong. Using just a 3% threshold, which you can kind of pick apart whatever threshold you want. For me, it's typically 3%, assuming there's some type of error that could be in the odds or in my own stuff. But you can see like all these are reasonably close. There's not like when people talk about, man, there's just a huge edge on this guy. The edges are a lot smaller than I think people think, mathematically at least.
Yeah, if you're
not this huge.
I would think if you're finding 20% in matchups, either the book posted the wrong number, and you should, if you feel like betting that, you should do it very quickly because they're going to change it and then ban your account, or you had like you said, like there's some you still might be correct that the matchup's off, but if you're just not the best, like my journey into modeling started like that. Like I was showing these wild edges, and obviously it's because I wasn't taking into enough things into account. But it still helped me learn. It helped me, like I said, create maybe some directional models to start. Back then, markets were easier to beat too. So even if I was off by more than I should have been, I could still win in certain markets. Again, just flat betting it, not betting the actual number, just being like, all right, this seems off, I'll flat bet it.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot doing that. And again, I still do that with certain markets. So,
well, you're going down my alley now. Try to recall what you just said. For odds, I'll do this. It's definitely a learning experience. I think for most people, it's easy to get infatuated with stats, and golf data is really cool. The biggest thing, and I think Sky has the same take because I've talked to him about this a little bit. I assume you're probably on board. Like the field strength adjustments are such a huge factor when, Scotty wins this week, wins the Masters, wins the US Open, whatever. And let's just say his strokes gained in those events. Let's just say those are the only events he played. And it's like 1.5. All right. 1.5 to the field or 2.5 to the field. You could have Sam Ryder with similar strokes gained because he played the Houston Open and then played the Valspar, and he happened to play well those weeks, and it's against a weaker field. He has the exact same strokes gain that Scotty Scheffler has. You don't pull him up in a model and say, yeah, he's gonna him and Scotty are neck and neck, but he's got he's plus 600 to beat Scotty Scheffler. He should be even. No, that's a common flaw. And I had that problem when I first started building out my own stuff, was using strokes gained as if it was equal to everything, and it's not. Every field is different. That's the biggest difference I see in like our new stuff versus my old stuff, was just not adjusting for the field properly.
That was probably one of my first edges back when I started. And again, I didn't even think of that first. Like I used to read a lot. So like no one will ever tell you everything you need to know, but if you read enough, you can take a piece from this, piece from that, piece from this person's podcast, this person's article, and start to create the puzzle yourself. And I was like, all right, I had read enough about, like, particularly back then was DP World Tour versus PGA. And so I was like, all right, I need to figure that out. And I didn't fully figure it out, but I figured it out enough where it was just glaringly obvious that when PGA guys randomly went over, they were almost always underpriced to those DP, like, because the PGA Tour is better. And so even the middling guys are near the top, and that's more and more evident. But like back then, it wasn't as much. And again, talking about that probably doesn't do anybody any good because the markets were just softer. But that's how you learn, right? Like you have to start somewhere if you want to do this and try to create your own stuff. Obviously, again, if you're just tailing along, whatever.
Yeah.
You still might be interested in it, but like, yeah, it's little things that you just got to add bits and pieces over time. And finally, my golf models started to resemble the sports books mostly. And I was like, oh, all right. So me adjusting for that did help. Like,
Yeah.
because like you said, first couple models I made, I'm sure I fired Sky text messages and being like, because he's wanting to bet Brooks, and Brooks is like 120 to 1 in my model and everything. And it's like, all right, that's obviously wrong. What am I doing wrong here? It's like when Scheffler isn't at the top of a model these days. It's like, okay, what did I fat finger? What did I adjust incorrectly? I mean, you'd have to fat finger a lot, I think, to not have him be at the top at the moment. But like, it's those little things. You can't just like do it and be like, all right, like I did it. Like you have to keep working at it again. Like,
well, it's like easy enough to get started, but there's so many like just pitfalls that you can make a big mistake and not even realize. That's why, I mean, honestly, you should use a little bit of common sense. But yeah, that was always the biggest one for me, was looking at, even event to event, and guys are, gaining 4 strokes in whatever category. It's like, okay. And then he goes to a field and Vegas has him priced as like the worst guy in the field. It's like, well, no, I have him top 10. He should be one of the best. No, you fucked up. Like there's no way. So then you kind of like reverse engineered in a way. Like like you said, like, what am I missing? Okay. I'm doing all these things. I'm still off. Okay. Well, what could it account? And you go like basically event by event, at least for me. And I was like, this is where they start to deviate, and they shouldn't, because he played the Corrales.
Right.
Like that's not the same quality of field. He's getting 100% of the strokes gained, and that shouldn't be the case. So
yeah. And again, even that's where you find the edge, because nothing's like exactly quantitative to like what that exact number should be. So maybe your idea, so that's how I learned and created my own thing, was like, I would take other people's ideas and be like, I don't fully agree with that. Maybe I will try to adjust it this way, or, like I think of myself more as like a semi-pro, but like I'm not creating wild formulas and ideas on my own. Again, I have some math from engineering background, but like I'm more of a like just a logical thinker from the engineering background. So like I will hear people talk, smart people, and listen, and I'll just be like, all right, I do like that. I agree with that. I'm gonna incorporate that, and then I'll listen to a different podcast, not even about golf, maybe. I'm like, oh, they're doing that. Like I could wiggle that into a golf model. Like a lot of my models are all Frankensteins of bits and pieces of info over the years that people were willing to talk about and share a little bit. I used to drive a lot for work, so like I would just podcast after podcast, article after article, like, and that's how I learned. Like no one strictly show, and it might even be easier now. Like AI can help you. I'm not saying it can build you a model, but like it can definitely help you do it faster than I learned how to do it. You just have to you do have to ask the right questions. But that's where you just need to
it'll build you with strokes
listen.
gained, and then you're going the wrong way, like I was 5 years ago. So it'll get you something.
If you're willing to learn, you can. It's definitely not an overnight. Like this was a years long. I've been betting, I don't know now, I'm old now, but like 15, 20 years. So like, it's.
How much, hopefully I'm being a good host and asking the questions that come up in my head. Hopefully other people ask it. How often do you tinker now versus, obviously it's less than 15 years ago, but now where you feel pretty good, is it pretty much like weekly course adjustments more so than anything else from a baseline perspective?
It's a lot of course stuff. My baseline stuff I keep relatively simple. People might even be shocked at how simple the baseline ratings are. But again, part of that is me not wanting to screw something up, and I've still been able to have a good return. So I'm like trying not to, but I'm not going to lie. You go 6-7 weeks sometimes, and golf's only one event a week, so it's only 7 events, and you haven't won much. I'm staring at that thing like, like did the market change? Am I an idiot? Did I like? I'd love to tweak it more often, but I've had pretty good willpower. And like I said, I've been using the same base stuff for so long now. Like I even know like certain events where it's like my model has never done well. Like there's something that I do that just has never. And again, it's such small numbers, even over years with golf. Like it could be just pure variance and not the but like there's other courses where it's like, fuck, I've hit 5 out of 8 winners here. Like,
yeah.
And then we come to this course and I can't sniff it for what I'm doing. And it's like, all right, so maybe I don't trust it as much. Again, that could be wild thinking because golf's such a weird sport with all the high variance, low number of events. I mean, the most events one guy plays in a year is what? This day and age, like I don't even know off the top of my head, 35, 40.
Yeah, 30,
maybe.
35
like,
probably.
And that's the guy who's grinding every week and probably not one of the better golfers. But like, so like the data points and the variance is just so much that I've luckily found the willpower to generally not tinker because I just be like, what the results have shown, I'm still hitting at enough rate to win. So just let it be. Like just
we could
I might tinker on the side sometime. Like I'll create like a separate file and kind of run some stuff, and it's like most of the time it's just like, oh, I made things way worse. Like erase, and maybe next time I have a bright idea it'll be better. But
yeah. The I think a couple years ago, it was 3 years ago, I think, I got the you helped me a lot. Like you sent me over like a super basic Excel sheet just to get like a sim going, and it was basically super simple. And honestly, it was probably pretty good.
I remember which one, but yeah,
it was basically just you got a baseline for every player, and you're just running it out to see how often each one wins. So I got down that path, and like at least golf, I have a good base of knowledge for it. Well, I started going out into other sports using it, and it was like too fun in a way, especially with AI, because now you can ask questions like, I think this will work. Let's run it. But I spent so much time. I did like an MMA model. I did a NASCAR model. Like it was so fun. And I think there's like, that's the big benefit, at least for me. If you have that type of creative mindset, I guess, of building something, hopefully it's decent, but then, tinkering with it. But at a certain point, you gotta stop. And that's kind of where we're at now. But like all those other sports, it was probably more fun doing those tinkers, like the tinkering, than, just letting it run every week and kind of being status quo for the most part. So I don't know where I was really going with that, but the tinkering is,
but that's how you learn.
Fun aspect.
I mean, I have a folder full of models for other sports that I would never bet, but I enjoyed attempting to and a lot of them have gotten close. They weren't beating the market, right? They were either like the same or the edge was so small that I'm like, I'm not right. Like especially for like the Premier League, I'm not beating that on my own with this little brain and the data that I have. But it was fun for me. Like I built a model that basically matched the market. So I was like, all right, like I'm doing something. Like, where can I use this now for something else that's not the Premier League? Like, can I use this for hockey or whatever?
I've heard those people talk about like badminton or table tennis and stuff like that. Like tennis was a big one. I had some success in that because it was pretty.
I randomly did too. Again, I still don't know to this day if that was pure variance, but I had a nice run modeling tennis. I might have got lucky as hell, but hey.
Yeah, I know. That's the tricky part too, is understanding if it's a real edge or not. But yeah, I mean, the tinkering is fun. I give credit to, or not give credit, but I give flexibility for the people that love to tinker with it. But at a certain point, you just kind of gotta run.
I'll use like debt accounts. Like I have accounts that like are super limited or things like that, and I'll still like they'll take okay wagers still, but nothing wild. Like I'll mess with those with small markets. Like, I have this model for the Premier League. I don't have the same stats for like the Championship or League One or League Two, but it's like, what can I find out there and see if I can?
Yeah. Well, they have in the football. I forget. It was some type of podcast, and it was like, it's my hook is some guy comes on there you never heard of, and he's a sharp bettor, and that's like the first inkling is like, you never heard of the guy because he doesn't want to be known, and perfect for me because I'm on Twitter, so it goes against what I'm doing. but you get some guy and he's like, I don't want to know. You don't want anyone to know my name. I bet Portuguese soccer and I make about 1.5 million a year across 15 books or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not at that level, so I don't care.
Yeah, well, it's just like, man, for Portuguese soccer. So then I started, well, if he could do it, I could probably do it. And they have like shot by shot soccer data now. It's blew my mind though. Like it's worse than golf data. Like the positions of where players were when the pass happened. Like no way. So I skipped that. But
it's nuts.
Again, there's a lot of fun projects I wish I had more time for. And maybe there's edges, but again, keep it simple is probably the primary goal. If you want to talk about anything else betting, I'm going to pull up this week's stuff. And then if you want to talk about, we can talk about Riviera so that people aren't completely left out into a conversation on just betting, but I appreciate you coming on here. Cause that's, it's like I said, we've been doing, I'll share, we got, the outright model that runs pre-tournament. And then you can run it up against odds and then find EV and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Ironically, there's the most on Pinnacle, but it's like 0.01%. So must be surrounding. But there's a few on FanDuel. Honestly, the outrights, we don't see a ton of value until you go a little bit deeper. But it has, top tens. You go through any of these, 1.8%. There's a good one on Bet365 for Harris English for a top 10. And then we run the live model, which isn't going now, which we can talk about later on how fast it refreshes. But pretty cool to watch. And it keeps track of top 10, top fives in all those sims and the cut line stuff like that. But the Riviera, we can talk about quickly, and then we can just maybe hit on some guys you either want to talk about that you bet or just guys that interest you, I guess, this week from a betting perspective or a matchup perspective. But weather aside for Riviera, they're getting hammered with rain and been getting hammered with rain. Is there anything you really look at from a course fit? Because you talked about like one of the few things you do outside of you don't touch the baseline. We'll just say you just don't mess with that. But the course fit or any kind of a course attributes you do mess with. Do you want to talk about anything specific for Riviera that interests you or you find worth, I guess tinkering with, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, I will. Because I don't really change a ton. Again, it's probably why some of my edges have disappeared again, because I'm not doing a lot. And I think if I wanted to put more work into maybe some more math and better modeling and things like that, perhaps I could make more use of some of the stats that are out there now. Although I think a lot of it's just murky waters to get into. A lot of what I'm adjusting on a weekly basis is mostly for like off the tee type stuff. Because I think on a week to week basis, the most important things, if you will, don't really change. It's just like approach off the tee, putting around the green. Let's say that's the order you think is most important. I don't think the order really changes week to week. Rarely. It's just how maybe the slider on like how much more does the approach matter than the off the tee this week. Things like that. Again, nothing specific there, but just a lot of what I'm changing might change guys 0.1 strokes around, things like that. Like nothing wild. Again, that's just what I'm doing. I think, but like for like Riviera, like I don't really care about accuracy all that much. I'd much rather have distance. I know that it's talked a lot about around the green is like more important this week, but like what does that mean? Like how much more important? Because it's still not more important than approach or off the tee. It might be the most important course of the year where as far as around the green matters, outside of Augusta, that could be true. I'm not debating that or saying that is definitive, but let's say it's true. Okay, like how many more strokes? Like how big are you willing to take someone who's a better around the green than approach? Like no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like I just think that's where you can get yourself into trouble with some of the course fit stuff, because you go to all these different sites and they're not necessarily wrong that around the green is more important at Riviera than anywhere else but Augusta. But what are you adjusting for that?
Yeah, you're still gonna have to apply other stuff. You're gonna get back to square one, most likely.
Like
you're not gonna run it straight off of around the green.
Like I think overfitting can be a problem with a lot of golf modeling that's out there, and that's maybe I don't fit enough because I'm worried about that. Again, that could be my own leak, but that's kind of where I sit with like. Especially again, I think this week's a good week to talk about that because of the around the green thing, and specifically that one. Like that's like because I would agree like based on numbers like it can get tricky around and on the greens here. That's like not up for debate. Yeah. The debate is what are you adjusting for that or how much like. But
yeah, because it's
I didn't go. I'll put it this way: I didn't go crazy for it. Like I don't, especially short game. I don't tinker all that much. Like a little bit this week, but a little bit is hardly enough to change much. Like for me.
Yeah. Well, it's also one of the most infrequently used stats infrequently. I don't know the best term to use. The most infrequently. This is the lowest bucket that they use on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
because you're talking about like 3 shots and they're all different.
Because you use an iron on almost every hole.
Yep. Tee shots are the most stable as far as off the tee goes. It's all from the same spot to the same hole.
Right.
Everyone's going to the same thing.
Yeah. So like, again, it's just noisy in general, like most golf things. So I try to keep myself from making giant mistakes. Some people would look at that and tell me that I'm stupid and I'm leaving money on the table, which could be true. But that's just my philosophy and it's worked for me. And maybe that's why I'm not making $1 million betting Portuguese soccer and other people are. So,
yeah. No, I mean, you could see like it, and there's the other aspect of that is time frame. Like, you could say any stat and the amount of time differs and you get a different pool based on the time frame. I mean, you could do 8 weeks, you could do 6 months, you could do a year, you could do 3 years. So that's the other thing. You just using a blanket around the green or approach or whatever doesn't really, put the puzzle together at all. But you can see like, I mean, yeah, in the event, sure. Over the years though, it's pretty volatile for, who does well at Riviera. Like you could go back to any type of time frame. This was 2023. I mean, the top guys, you're looking at other things. So like to your point, maybe you bumped up around the green, but are you doing that at the expense of off the tee or just tee to green even, or just total? Honestly, like you could probably just do total and you got first place, 12th place, 29th, 20th, 9th place, 33rd, 14th place. And then you go throw around the green in there and you completely, handcuffed yourself. So yeah, there's a lot of nuance in how you use it, I guess, and even like the time frame. Like maybe the time frame's different. Like for me, like longer term is this week at least. Longer term is definitely better than like the American Express and like whoever's hot. So yeah, I mean there's ways to dive into it and
I just kind of know I know my role. I'm not smart enough to use some of this data, so I just don't. Instead of letting it hurt me.
Well, people don't know that it hurts them, to be honest.
That's fair too.
I mean, they just assume if it makes sense in their head, it makes sense. I mean, it's
like if I thought I had the ability to sim out a golfer playing every hole 10,000 times, I would try to do that. I don't have the brain power to do that.
Well, I would.
But then you could use some of the stats that are out there, like that I see being touted around. And like, yeah, if you were capable of doing correct simulations, that would be great information. Most of the people using it, paying 10 to 20 bucks a month for the data, are not capable of doing that. So I feel like it's probably useless to them. Again, that's my take. But like, yeah, I keep a lot of. I'm a keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, and I think that's the best approach, to be honest, for good bettors and good DFS players and everybody in general. Like we've gone down the path of doing a shot by shot model, and it's so difficult. And Like not the shots. Like that's pretty easy. Like to know. I'll give an example. Like, the amount of layering on for a player's skill, the course, the hole, the layout of the hole. Like it's really a headache. Like it's very easy to say this guy hits it in the left rough 25% of the time, in the right rough 15% of the time. So then you can sim out that. But this is a dogleg right. What's his percentage on dogleg rights and by how much? Oh, there's water on the left. Does that shift it a little bit more? Yes. Does it shift the left-hander's shot more to the left or more to the right than it does the right-hander? Does he hit more fairways? Like there's so many. It's such a headache in the.
Well, that's what we got into. The more variables you're adding, the more off you are when you're wrong. When you're doing all that, like, do you know if he even maybe he hired a new data guy this season who's now going to have him miss left it's better that you just go miss left.
Right.
And now you're all off.
So using a higher approach, you're going to be probably as accurate. You're definitely not going to make as many mistakes, and you're probably going to be as accurate as the shot by shot. Even like, as much of a headache as it was, and let's say you nailed it, like the shot by shot at the whole level, not quite to the round level, but we'll just kind of rule that together. You're not going to be that far off. Like there's not going to be huge edges, in my opinion, looking through it, at least over the headache of putting that together. And you get something wrong. Like you have to go all in. You can't half-ass a shot by shot model because you will make bad mistakes, like really bad mistakes, especially if the guy has like two shots from like a weird distance, like he hold it.
Yeah, I wish I could remember his name. I listened to somebody talk about it once, and I was like,
Logan.
yeah, probably that sounds familiar. And again, it was like, yeah, this is over my head to be able to do.
Well, I mean, he probably did it well. I'm just saying.
No, yeah, I'm not saying it can't be done. Me talking though, like I just like to be honest with like where I'm at with what I'm doing. Like I'm not claiming to be anybody, like moving all these numbers around. Like that ain't me. I have my lane, stay in it. But that's how I found my little area, right? Like, again, I'm not betting 20 golfers a week. Like, I don't find an edge on 20 because of what I'm doing. Maybe the other guys do. I don't know. It's very possible they do. Like, if they're betting 3% differences and have these bigger bankrolls. But like,
for most people, it's just whatever they're comfortable with, I guess, and what gives them some fun. And maybe and honestly, nowadays, man, it could be like literally because of the community. As cheesy as that sounds,
that's how it should be. Like most people watching this,
they want to kind of sweat together.
This is a recreational thing for them. And I 100% understand that. And that's in general why I almost quit doing content a year or so ago. Cause it's like, I don't know what to talk about per se. Cause it's like, I'm not trying to steer someone down the wrong direction as some semi-pro, because it should just be like fun. But I also don't want to use all these stupid stats because I also don't believe in that. So like I got in this like hamster wheel conundrum of like, well, what are you doing then? Like, why are you talking?
Yeah, because the content you would produce if you're authentic is probably like, I just ran it,
but it's boring.
Give it 5 minutes, and I'll tell you what it says to me.
It's boring because I'm not going to tell you exactly what I did anyway.
Yeah.
Then now I'm just reading off numbers, but I also don't want to lie to you and be like, yeah, I used 20% approach. I used 5% approach from left. Like,
yeah,
because I don't do that. So again, though, if you have fun tinkering with these types of models that I'm dismissing, like, that shouldn't stop you. Like, if that's fun for you to do and you're betting 10, 5, $2, whatever the hell you're comfortable with, like, then have at it. Like,
yeah, I think it's a desire for them to feel like they have a baseline or some type of
and I appreciate that. Like,
number.
I also would like that instead of purely blindly tailing, right? Like, it's nice to have your own thoughts. And then you have certain people that they're like, oh, cool, they like that guy too this week.
Right.
Perfect.
Kind of validates you a little bit.
And I get it. I do. That's been my conundrum with content for years now. Just my own personal issues with it. Whether it's doing it, all that fun stuff. So
I agree. Well, with these last few minutes, we can just talk through guys you like. I pulled up the odds. Scotty's at 3-1, and Rory's gone down. I thought he opened at 14-1, but he's at 11-1. And Xander at 20-1, Hideki 21-1. And I got the DK pricing pulled up here. anybody at the top of the board that interests you. They're like, we didn't really talk about how far down the board you really bet anyways. It sounds like it's mostly, we'll say sub 75 to 1, probably sub 50 to 1. But anybody up here that you're interested in?
I bet Fleetwood. I forget the number. It might have been like 25.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty. He's playing exceptionally well right now. Again, this is where I would use a whole bunch of random stats to tell you how good he's doing.
It's okay.
But in general, he's just doing well. Like, I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the top 3 in the field, like just how he's been playing. Like, Ed, so the 28 number looked good. I took Fitzpatrick as well. I just realized I bet just an entire team of English guys this week. Took Fitzpatrick as well with an each way 33. Again, I do bet a few more each ways now. Sometimes I'll even bet those even if I don't think it's like purely an EV bet on the each way. That's more of where some of the outright betting also has to be fun for me. And there's nothing worse than watching some dumbass lose on 18 from some weird bounce that may not even been him. Maybe the other guy got lucky, whatever. So I'll throw some each ways on from time to time.
You just do that so Rap doesn't get upset with his second place loss.
Well, Fleetwood got second last week too. We talked. Him and I had a nice little chat, and he also had a worse collapse with Bridgman. So.
Bridgman, yeah.
And then Rye 175 to 1 each way. That's a pretty big one for me. I normally don't dip that low. I think the reason that I got on Rye, I kind of ignored putting, which is a big issue for him. I don't know. I think he's capable of winning. He doesn't win a lot, which is a problem, but he's 175 to 1. So I'm not really overly concerned with that. It's just, again, a numbers thing from the stupid recipe that I put in. But he's won on the PGA Tour before. It's not like he's familiar. He's been around now for a few years in America playing. Like, there's all these little variables that I don't put in a model that I'm not necessarily saying don't matter either. I don't know how to put it in a model. So, I do think we see it a lot with European tour guys come over for the first time. They're very good golfers. They struggle for a year or two till they get comfortable.
Like Pinge.
Sure. Rob McIntyre talked about it. Like, he was miserable when he moved over here. Like, he's like, I was homesick, wanted to go home. Like, he struggled that way, and then all of a sudden he must have got more comfortable. He's talked about being happier, and suddenly the play turned into like a golfer who you thought you saw in Europe. Like, yeah, that's the guy I was watching destroy it over there on that tour, which got him to the PGA Tour. So like, I mean, even Fleetwood's dominated the DP World Tour for so long. He comes over here, he didn't win forever until last year. And he's an outstanding golfer. Like, his might have been something else because his obviously went on for more than like 3 years, but that might have been a bad example. But like, there's a lot of examples of guys like that. But like, that was a fun little side tangent for why I bet Aaron Rye. But
that's all right. I was looking at Finau. I knew he opened big. DraftKings at 226 to 1. Got that down pretty much immediately, but everybody else opened up 100 spot or 100 to 1 less than DraftKings. Interestingly enough, he's been terrible. A little bit of sparks of life, but
that's the type of stuff where I obviously wasn't interested in Finau at any number, but I would be shocked if maybe a certain place was, and that's what drove that, or they just noticed that the entire market was different and someone bumped it. But
we saw that last week, Brian Campbell, and people thought there was a good course fit for Campbell just because it was short and there wasn't very good golfers in the field. I forget what he moved down to, but it was like over 500 to 1, and he was in the low 300s or something like that.
It's easy to move. To have those guys move too, though, because especially with social media, if you can get enough people to bet it, it's going to get noticed, and the liability for some of these square books is going to be probably pretty wild on a golfer. I mean, I'm sure our buddy Sky could tweet certain golfers, and we've seen
absolutely.
it. They get moved, and like almost maybe not purely immediately, but like yeah, you get a big enough following, even if you're not sharp or correct, they're gonna move it. I mean, they already got that group of friends of mine already got some guys on DP World Tour to move because it's the Kenya Open week. So Sky's been diving into every tour on that continent. So like they bet some guys and they already moved, and it's like I didn't do it because I was like he's not even gonna make the cut. That's how I felt about it. But so
this guy's moving markets in Africa.
I mean, especially on those 500, 800, 1,001 guys, like it probably doesn't. I'd like to be in the room or figure out whatever formula it is.
Well, yeah, it's probably some type of default.
It might even
no one's
auto
betting this
move
800 to 1, and they're like, someone bet it, move it.
I mean, it could even auto move for all I know on some of these. Like, I haven't been in the back room, so I'm probably talking on my ass. But yeah.
Last thing on Homa. Any thoughts on Homa with terrible form, his course history? Do you have any takes on how the course history? Because the experience here is good. There's obviously some type of dynamic with playing decent several years ago and playing well here. That's not exactly the case here. But any thoughts on Homa? You obviously didn't bet him, or at least you didn't mention it. But from a DFS perspective, which doesn't interest you that much, anyways. Any thoughts, I guess, on just the general thought process?
Course history is always a fun one for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a great way to quantify it personally. Maybe that's my lack of understanding of statistics and certain things, but like because it's once a year, and now you can get better at it because you could know how he was playing leading into each of those years. Now, like we have all those numbers, so that can definitely help. But like, there's so much that changes in golf and golfers in a year. Yeah. But that doesn't mean like guys don't play better certain places. Right. Comfortability, we've talked about that. Like every human is more comfortable in certain locations. Like I have golf courses I'd rather play. Like again, I don't know if I'm even better at it, but I definitely have ones where it's like I feel I'm going to feel better there.
Yeah.
I have
these guys, dude. The margins on these guys is actually pretty small. Like I don't know if anyone's ever calculated their own.
And the more I hear golfers speak, like they're mental midgets, just like a whole bunch of other people. Like it's not unique to other sports of like everybody has their own comfortabilities. And yeah, certain courses do set up better for certain. Like again, I play better at certain courses. I'm not a good golfer, but I guarantee I shoot better when the course is more open.
Yeah.
And most amateurs probably because we slice, right? Like if I can go find my ball, like that's a very extreme example. But the point is that I do think course history can matter. I find it hard to, on a year-to-year basis, how much emphasis am I putting on that for certain golfers? So
did he play?
So I don't hate it. Especially, honestly, if people want to be like, look, dude, he's just played very well here, I'm going to risk it. Cool. Like I younger me would have probably fought with you and argued with you. I'm willing to change my mind on stuff too, which helps. So like I'm not saying you're right, I'm right. Whoever this hypothetical argument is, but I do think I do look at it like it definitely makes me feel more comfortable when I see someone's like made multiple cuts at a certain, like you want to bet a guy and you see like, oh, he's never made the cut here. Like what the hell? Like that doesn't give me the warm fuzzies. I still probably bet him, but
to your point, there's just not a way. There's not always a way to quantify how someone feels at an event.
Oh, especially that. I mean, there's always info we'll never know, but
correct. Like you could say his approach game is better here, but it hasn't been good for 7 months. Why is it better? It just was. Well, is it because he felt better? Did something happen? And then you play him the next week and he misses the cut 3 weeks in a row. So I think the same conversation happened with Finau at Torrey Pines. Gosh, it's been like every week. There's been like one guy in terrible form with good history there. But
that's the beauty of it all, right? Like that's where if you are smarter and can figure something out or have some fortitude on what you believe, maybe it works out for you. Sometimes that's my issue too. It's like I just ignore it if I can't figure it out. And again, probably not the right way to approach everything. Like I know it's working for me, and until it's just really not, I just, again, that's more of like I might make a manual adjustment for some course history stuff, like, but it's not mathematically filtered into anything I do at the moment.
But I think what I would take away from that is you wouldn't go into it blindly and just throw something at the wall and think it, whatever your, premonitions are, and then just run with it. You would take the time, which you don't want to spend the time. You would take the time to make sure it's right, or you'd back test, or you'd run through however many years and figure out what you need to do. And it's more so a time thing than like you're not interested in it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to take a lot of time.
Like things have changed in my life. Like back 6-7 years ago, I was betting a lot more golf and I was doing golf content. So I was spending more time doing those things because at least then I could talk about it. I could write about it. It filtered into other aspects of my life. I was doing 2 shows a week, like, so I can talk about even the failures of trying course. Like nowadays I'm like, I'm not wasting my time on that. I'm going to go bet 12 other games in different leagues today. I got shit to do. Like,
it's a sunk cost that you don't know if there's really any benefit anyways. Like you could be doing just fine. Yeah.
It's not something that, I'm not at that level of the betting. Like some people are, obviously. Like that's cool. I found what works for me. Yeah. Like there are different levels of betting. From like not everyone who bets is just a multimillionaire, or like it might seem that way, but like you can do it and make just regular money or even good money. Like there's different levels to betting. Even amateur, you get a full-time. I had a full-time job for a while and was still making money betting. Like it can be like you can do that. Like you don't have to be the smartest person at what you're doing to be able to make money. I'll put it that way. Well,
good deal. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
All right, you're not doing anything. Do you have your newsletter still, or not really?
I mean, it's out there. I haven't updated it in a year. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you wanted to plug anything.
I have nothing to plug. I still like have new followers that show up on it. I'm like, I haven't written anything in 12 months. Like, thank you, I guess. Like,
interesting. You're doing better than us. Doing nothing.
They might look at it and be like, oh, he left the last one I wrote. Like I was still up money. So they're like, oh, what if he ever comes back? Like,
yeah.
No, I tweet. I'll still tweet. Some stuff I bet. I normally tweet like my favorite 2 or 3 bets a week on PGA, DP, or LPGA. It's at Axis_DFS. I'm just chilling in the background now. Like I mean, you can shoot me a message if anybody wants to chat. Like but like I'm just drifting in my own space these days.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
I do. I gotta grab one more thing from you before you go. Do you have any bets from the magical Kenya Open? Did you do any or Sky or anything you can pass along to the listeners?
I mean, you only need to bet one guy. It's Guido. That's
okay.
I mean,
did you really bet him again?
Yeah. I mean, that's take that with a grain of salt though. That's not modeling. That's heart right there. They went back to the Karen Country Club that they had abandoned for a few years, and this is where he won the inaugural one, and it was at this course. So I couldn't not bet it. I haven't actually ran my DP World Tour stuff. It's kind of a hot mess. That one I need to update just from lack of care by myself. But I would definitely go. Sky will definitely have his card. That's who I would be tailing. But I can guarantee you that Guido will be on his card.
Okay.
You can find him out there probably around 70. I don't know. It probably varies greatly, but I mean, I'm staring at one that's currently 70-1, so it's fun.
Okay.
But
good deal. All right, Axis, man, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Be in touch. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Fantasy Golf Bag podcast / live stream. We'll see you guys later this week. My article will be out on Wednesday for the Genesis Invitational. So appreciate you guys. See you later.